right, good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Milan 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. This is a part where we get to talk about trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. As usual, as we do it from 7:40 a.m. to 8:30, we look through the four major dailies. We have Vanguard, The Nation, The Guardian, and the Punch newspapers, and we'll be looking through the front pages, just strictly front pages of the papers this morning. And of course, then we move by 8:40 onto Milan Focus, and that's the part where we get to pick one or two trending stories from the front pages of the papers, and then we try to flesh things out and also open up the phone line for you to be a part of the conversation this morning. All right, I trust we all had an amazing night rest, and we're all looking forward to greater things to come today. And speaking of looking forward to greater things to come, before I say what I'll say, you're welcome. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, and we are the sound of Lagos. So the CBN has announced that today the president is going to unveil the new design. I am excited. I'm excited to see what the design is. What's going to be new about these notes, and more people are more excited about what whose faces is going to appear on the Naira notes. It's going to be a spectacular one, and a whole lot of people are definitely looking forward to that one. It's been announced the unveiling, is going to happen today. So from December 15, it would be pushed into circulation as they try to mop up the old currencies. But in the meantime, your 1,000 Naira note, your 500 Naira note, and your 200 Naira note, look at them closely and carefully, because very soon we'll be handing out new notes. Okay, so that's one trending story that I feel that happened over the night, and I'm like, okay, this is actually interesting. Another interesting story, of course, is the between INEC and between INEC and the Federal High Court Abuja, as regards continuous voter registration. I don't know if that is still doable or if that is still possible, but it is something that it's in the news. It's a trending story. The fact that the court has ordered INEC to continue with voter registration and to ensure that people until about 90 days before the election. So, and today is 93 days before the February elections. I don't know how possible that is, if that's still possible, or if it's still doable, or if it's still workable, but it is something that is also being talked about. My name still remains Omobola Sandra, and I have with me via the phone line Fuad Sahid. Good morning, Fuad.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much. So, information reaching me is that there are queues out there. Like, the queue is back for fuel, and transport fare, has gone up.
The queues are back, Sandra, and frustratingly so too. So much traffic because people have to queue on the roads, and hindering the free flow of traffic in different parts of Lagos. Have people with kegs. The filling stations are filled up with people trying to get fuel. I don't know when we're going to get out of
this situation, because as at now, what exactly is the cause? I'm trying to figure it out. In the whole of a certain area, I think around Mushin Axis or so, filling stations are not even open. Triple O said that his sister had to go all the way to stadium to get fuel, and she was on the queue for about 3 hours. Imagine that, and then you get it at still an exorbitant price.
Yeah,
so what exactly is the situation now? Is it IPMAN? Is it NNPC?
Yeah,
is it
the information we have is that again there's still a bit of disruption in supply. Of course, so when there's a disruption, you find that most private depots are not dispensing at this time, and NNPC depots don't have enough to give out. It still goes back to what we've been talking about, the fact that we seem not to be able to just get anything right in this country. Things we have not been able to refine and we have to import. The tendency to have this kind of destruction is there. Supply issues, delivery issues. There used to be the excuse of the flooding and all of that. Well, I don't think it's about flooding now. It's just more about the fact that we don't seem to have enough supply to dispense to the end user. It's unfortunate because the queues are very frustrating. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get fuel. It's funny. I'm also watching out to see whether I'll be able to fuel up.
Oh,
it's completely frustrating. You can see people hanging around filling stations, you see motorists, the long queues. A lot of the filling stations are not selling. That's the issue. A lot of them are not selling.
And that's the thing. Just as I said, the information is that a certain major part of Mushin, there's no filling station open, and people are going all the way to Surulere.
At least most parts of the areas have driven past this morning. Ojodu, Bega, Ikeja. A lot of the filling stations are closed. They are not dispensing. So,
all right. We very, very, actually very, very unfortunate as it is, and because aside from that, transport fare has gone up, way up. But I'm starting with the Guardian newspaper now, and the major headline from the Guardian newspaper: oil drilling begins in Gombe, Bauchi, with 1 billion barrel oil and 500. Okay, and so we started the conversation yesterday as regards the president and members of his cabinet, going all the way to the north to check for oil, and we raised the question of why is it so important to the north that they have oil in that region. However, those reports, the writers to this particular report, we have Buhari orders NNPC to step up oil search. Says Kolmani project attracted $3 billion investment. Silva Kyari drum support for exploration across inland. Lawan advocates constitutional review for 13% derivation utilization. Bauchi, Gombe governors pledge support and conducive environment. I will take project up from Buhari, says Tinubu. Okay. And so what we have here is that there was a groundbreaking ceremony of the Kolmani oil prospecting lease 809 and 810 at the Kolmani field sites, the first oil drilling in northern Nigeria that took place in Bauchi and Gombe states. So 66 years after crude oil discovery in Nigeria, the president has officially flagged off anticipated drilling of crude oil in the northeast.
In the north. Well, one would say ordinarily this news is supposed to be a cheerful one, a good news, something that we're supposed to be very, very happy about. That look, means more revenue to the country. But for some of us, we just look at it and the ones we've discovered 56 years ago, can we really say it's been a blessing to the country or a cost? Because again, you want to ask yourself, we're still talking about queues at the filling stations now. Would that eventually the North seems to now have been able to discover crude oil and the exploration starts? It's good. It means that there'll be more revenue. It means that there may be a change of narrative. The idea that it's just one region that has been feeding the nation all this while. So it means that, of course, we can have a situation where, of course, the North is also able to bring something substantial to the table in terms of oil revenue. I know that parts of Lagos too, they've been, the station where I think some parts of Lagos or Southwest too also have some, amount of crude oil that have been discovered in many parts of Lagos and the rest. So it's good that we have these discoveries here and there, and the fact that we can make more money from crude oil discovery. But the question is, what eventually are we going to do with it? What exactly are we going to do with it? Are we going to still have a situation where oil theft is so are we going to start to see oil theft? Are we also going to start to see some unrest in these areas in the north? Hope it's not also going to lead to some form of arrest, some form of agitation, some form of insurgency, and so it will ordinarily supposed to be a very good news. Look at the World Cup, look at Qatar. That's a nation built solely on oil revenue. Do we have any city that is close to that what we've been seeing in Qatar? Dubai that everybody keeps running to was built with oil revenue. So it's supposed to be a good news. But sorry, Sandra, if we look at what we've done with oil revenue in the last 6 years and where we are, I think we just have to say, well, it's good, it's a good one, but it's not something that we need to go out there and continue to say, oh, it's all good. I think we'll wait to see whether things will change in terms of how we manage our resources and this particular one.
Well, as it is now, so many things to bring out from this report. This administration is taking credit a time where there is near zero appetite for investment in fossil energy, coupled with location challenges. That this particular, discovery is able to attract an investment of over $3 billion. Okay, and they also have the fact that the Senate President Ahmed Lawan is advocating for a review of the Constitution to include the utilization of statutory 13% derivation for oil-producing states, and also adding that they have to go for 3% to host communities, for the development of host communities. And aside from all of that, we also have the presidential candidate for the ruling APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has also pledged to sustain the project if elected president, and said the president has made history with this particular exploration. Well, more details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Should we be excited? It is something.
Andrea, it's interesting to see why we are so much invested in crude oil discovery and solely on oil, when there are other things that could give the country the same level of revenue. For example, agriculture. We have a large arable land in different parts of the country that we're not even talking about. The crude oil thing seems to have made us as a nation very lazy in terms of our thinking, in terms of the fact that we just think it's just about crude oil. Again, we're in an era where the Western world is investing heavily on green energy, alternative energy to the same crude. So while we are celebrating the discovery of crude, the other parts of the world are working tirelessly, working very hard to do away with crude oil as a source of energy all over the world. So you can see the contrasting level of thinking in the way we do things in this part of the world. But it's good. It's more money for the country, but I'm not so excited about the whole thing, because I know that eventually with this level of corruption, we may still not see the benefit of the problem.
Yes, that's where I was going. I'm wondering, what would be the benefit, of what benefit would it be to the country and even to the north in itself? So many developments needs to be done in that particular region. All right, but more details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. All drilling begins in Gombe and Bauchi states. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm still on the front page of the Guardian. We have Atiku Okowa meets Khan, insist on restructuring. All right, so that is the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, and his running mate met with the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria for the interaction with for the interaction with presidential candidates. So there are riders to that particular story. We have Atiku. Nigerians wanted change in 2015 but ended up with failure. Atiku pulls out of presidential town hall meeting. Obi Adewale pledged to secure and unite Nigeria if elected. Khan, we have not endorsed any presidential candidate. Remain opposed to single faith ticket. Wike, Atiku rejected Jonathan's pleas in 2015. Okay, so we can get all of the intrigues on pages 16 and 19. Yes, page 16 and 19 of the Guardian newspaper, as it is.
On the issue of restructuring that Atiku has been talking about, really, it would have been nice, because again, I'm somebody that takes general statements with a pinch of salt. I don't really take it seriously, because it's easy in this political era and campaign period to talk in general terms. I like to get the specifics. If Atiku, he's been talking about being the unifier, he's talking about restructuring, he talks about restructuring a lot. Because again, what you see with politicians is that depending on the audience they are talking to, they know what to tell them. So if he goes to the north, he will tell them something different. It comes to the south, before Khan, he talks about restructuring. Now, when it comes to restructuring, it will be nice to ask from him what are his beliefs, for example, with the restructure of the security arrangement that we have in the country, where, for example, everything is very centralized. Does he believe in state police? What does he want to do with it? It would be nice to even ask him about resource control. The idea of restructuring as it concerns resource control. It would be nice to also ask him about the evolution of power, for example, local government autonomy. the idea of that every governor seems to be completely against, now. So these are the specifics that you want to ask, the issue of federal character, a whole lot of things that are lumped up into issue of restructuring. Those are the things we would like to hear you talk about, so that we understand it. It's not just saying, I believe in restructuring, and then we just have a blanket statement that you can't, you have no takeaways from. So that's it for me, not to just say I believe in restructuring. What exactly which restructuring do you really believe in? Yeah.
Well, he did say a whole lot, but notably said that as regards insecurity, hoping to institute a constitutional reform to provide for state police. All right, that's one. And he also mentioned something about indigenship. So he believes that once you reside in any part of this country and you pay your taxes, then you should be entitled to everything the location offers. So all of the state of origin and all the BUSA initiatives, okay, or initiatives that you get being an indigen of a particular area. That's what he's referring to. He said a whole lot there, but those are the major things that I think I can.
And you can see what we've been talking about, Sandra. That even with his belief with state police, he still said, look, he's going to initiate a constitutional amendment, a constitutional reform to create state police. So it means that it's something that you still have to work with the National Assembly, and ensure that these amendments are done. And that's why we're saying that as we pay attention to those the person we want to elect as president, we should not also lose sight of those that will get into the National Assembly and even state House of Assembly, because again, these things about the Constitution, a lot of our issues are constitutional issues that we need to pay attention to.
All right, more details on pages 6 and 19 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, we also have here, Ronaldo leaves Man United after explosive interview. So that came out yesterday night, and
that was the first dissolution of contract.
They have divorced. Irreconcilable differences. So,
it's unfortunate,
Is it unfortunate? Is it really?
Yeah, if you look at the history of Ronaldo with Man United, and the fact that when he was coming back,
you're looking on okay.
And then it just scatter like that.
That's okay. I see that part. I guess that is unfortunate. But a lot of people, Man United fans are excited. I don't know why. Ronaldo fans are excited. I don't know why. It's different mixed feelings actually. Some are saying, "Oh, thank you, leave our club," and some are saying, "Well, our goat is still the greatest."
Be their hero anyway, because he did quite a lot for Man United. Before leaving for Real Madrid and then his other exploits. But
before coming back
again, sometimes people have said that sometimes you have to think twice to come to
before you go back to your ex. So
I don't know about ex.
He's your ex because he's just. This is a clear case of don't go back to your
ex. When there were other options for him to take at that time. I remember that I think Man City was trying to get him.
Yes.
To their club then, but I think the idea of my former
guy, I'm at home here. Well, more details on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, we also have on the front page here, CBN moves to curb inflation as interest rate jumps to 16.5%.
I don't know what
15.5%. I don't know how they plan to fight inflation with increasing interest rates.
Those are the textbook approach to doing things. You want to fight inflation, keep increasing interest rate. But we've said these things, Sandra. And some financial experts have also said that the cause of our own inflation is not just limited to just a singular thing. And this knee-jerk approach of thinking, by increasing interest rates, it's going to turn the tide of inflation. It's not going to happen until we address the basics, until we address the key issues. Okay, after 16%, now it's going to go to 18, 20. Are we going to have an interest rate of almost 30%? The way it's going, you say, how many weeks ago did we announce that the interest rate was increased? And now we have 16.something%.
I don't mean to, be, I don't know, but let me just pick this, paragraph from this particular report, because what I have here is that raising of interest rate from 15.5% to 16.5%, translating to a standing deposit rate hitting 17.5%, shows that inflation rate might be manipulated. And that statement is coming from the CEO of Dairy Hills Limited, Kelvin Emmanuel. So, of course, manufacturers are going to be wading into this particular one. I can't wait till we get to the punch. There's something even more interesting as regards this interest rate hike on the front page of the punch. I'm asking, is this, increasing interest rates, how is that supposed to help inflation? I'm curious.
The cost of inflation in the country is very clear. These are the fundamentals are there for everybody to.
So many factors. Yes, exactly.
So many factors. So, but if you just take one and you continue to think that would
solve it,
I don't know. I don't know where the idea of a continuation of increase of interest rates would help to resolve the inflation issue. I don't think so. Okay. And I think a lot of financial experts have said that too. What basically it would do that will stifle businesses. It will make manufacturers continue to groan with debt burdens and all of those things. So, but again.
All right. Very unfortunate though. But one thing that we may be looking forward to is the unveiling of the new notes, the new design, the newly designed notes.
That one is just notes. I don't think it has any value on the.
It's part of the report, so I'm just putting out there.
We'll see what the design will look like.
Moving on.
I'm waiting to see a purple color naira. Maybe
no, it's a bit of purple. I'm waiting. I want to see the faces. Which of our heroes?
Are we bringing in new faces? I don't know.
All the same old faces. Well, okay. Well, moving on. Nigerian media industry adopts new co-regulation and code of ethics. All right. So what we have from that report is that the Nigerian media industry has adopted new co-regulation, code of ethics, to address ethical and professional concerns. So what we have here is to achieve co-regulation, the Nigeria Press Organization, NPO, comprising NPAN, NGE, and NUJ, alongside BON, would work together to make the co-regulation system effective, particularly through establishment of ombudsman at local and central levels. Okay, so media chiefs and operators also noted that the success of co-regulation will be achieved via a workable enforcement mechanism. We can get more details of this particular one on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And finally, from the Guardian, coup. U.S. excludes Sudan, Mali, others from Africa Leaders Summit. The coup embroiled countries. Yes, the ones that have been excluded from the Africa Leaders Summit. But again,
it would be a complete embarrassment to have military has come into that kind of environment with their
okay.
Even if they put Agbara there as a military leader, so I understand where the
exclusion is coming from.
You can't be a country that talks about democracy all over the world, and then of course you invite military leaders. So I understand where that is coming from. It's a complete embarrassment to Africa, really, to have khaki boys still occupying power at this age and time.
All right, moving on, we are still on to trends in the papers on Milan 98.3 FM, and we're on to the Punch newspaper now. The major headline from the Punch: 16.5% interest rate. Private sector predicts factories shut down. Higher bad loans. So there are riders to this. CBN interest rate hike will increase manufacturers' 5 trillion naira debt already. Monetary policies tightening. Monetary policy tightening will worsen inflation. And that's coming from Nasima. That's Commerce and Industries people. All right. So let's see. We've talked about this, but let's see the perspective that Punch is coming in from as regards, the shutdown of factories, higher bad loans, the fact that manufacturers are going to be finding debt payments or debt servicing extremely difficult.
Debt burden is going to be excruciating. Going to go high again
at this time.
With this, with 16.8, Sandra, 16.5% is not a joke.
No, it's not. So well, it now depends on how much you even collected. Okay, so what we have from this
report, you went to collect.
Oh, that you went to collect. All right, so what we have here is it's an entire page. It's a long read, but I'll just pick some snippets from there. Manufacturers, operators in the nation's manufacturing sector saw their combined debts to Nigerian banks. It rose from 4.09 trillion naira in December 2021 to 5.1 trillion naira in September 2022. Okay. And so with the increase in debt, stakeholders have maintained that the current double-digit lending rate is unfavorable, as it has a direct impact on the cost of production and the competitiveness of the sector. Okay. And now NASIMA, that's Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, the Director General is saying that attempts to curb the excesses of inflation through the hike in monetary policy rate will lead to a dead end. Okay.
I just said it. I don't see it as, you know,
because they're even asking questions. All of these increases that they've been doing, has it brought down inflation? That's another.
That's what I'm saying. That are they going to continue to increase it? If it doesn't, from 15 point something that was done recently, you are now 16.5. Are we going to be talking about 20? Are we going to be continue to increase? Because you see, you need to also address the basics, address energy issues, address manufacturing issues. You know, resolve our crude oil issue, the crude oil testing, so that we can make more revenue. Address our debt, debt to revenue issues. There are a lot of factors. I think we did an analysis on it recently, Sandra, where we talked about all of those things causing inflation in the country. So just sitting down, you know, this armchair solution of just thinking that you can always increase interest rates and you think anything will come back to normal.
Remember,
for me, it does not even make any sense.
Aside from this, we're beginning to look away from the fact that there's some sort of deregulation ongoing in fuel prices at this time.
That's another thing.
That's another issue again, and the fears are there, and all of these things are the things that are impacting, inflation.
The level of inflation. So,
hiking of interest rates so far has not stopped it. Rather, you see deposit banks, you see commercial banks now lending at 20 to 25% if they are borrowing from CBN at 16%. Then you see an interest rate of almost 30%.
Because they are not going to stay on that benchmark. They're going to push it up.
They have to push it up because they have to make their own. But
they have money too.
Economists are warning that the MPC to maintain an aggressive monetary tightening stance may have unintended consequences on the economy, warning that the hike in the MPR from 15.5% to 16.5% would increase non-performing loans, and that is the truth.
Bad loans will be out there, and bad loans, non-performing loans.
And then you see banks, writing off loans, and even banks themselves now. Hope we will not see banks rounding up things because.
Well, AMCON will have to do a lot of jobs to rescue a lot of banks if you are not careful. And so you have a situation where the entire economy is completely stifled. You have because again, if banks are at the edge, if they are hanging by the cliff, there's a way it tells the economy.
Yes.
You know, because they are supposed to be like the wheel driving the entire process, and so if they are completely stifled, they can't do transactions. Debts are not being paid. And so what kind of economy are you going to run when your banks are completely stifled?
All right, well, more details on page 29. It's an entire page. It's a long read. You can get all of the perspectives there. CBN, experts, NASIMA, perspectives on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on, we also have here impeached Ekiti speaker heads for court. So Aribishogun is going to court to contest his impeachment.
He should go to court, yes. It's good to test our laws to see, to fight this thing.
It's all right.
I'm with him in spirit. So you go to court. The man should go to court.
All right. We also have above the masthead of the Punch, Atiku Obi meets Khan, tackle APC on governance. And that is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And also on that same page 2, let me just kill two birds with one stone. It's late to resume voter registration. Court rules. All right. So that conversation has been ongoing. The Federal High Court in Abuja told INEC that they should continue voter registration until at least 90 days to the election. Today is 94, I think 94 or 93 days to the elections. So let's say
I don't think anything will
happen. Exactly. INEC even has responded and said
INEC is even battling to distribute the PVCs
the one that they have. I remember that Osun and Ogun State that had their cards burned, they still have to reproduce those ones
for the elections. And but again, it's important that we say these things. If the law says 90 days to election, INEC should have stayed with that. The idea of ending the continuous registration before
Since
the
July.
limited time is wrong, really. Let's we're a country governed by laws, rules, and regulations. And if the law says 90 days, why stop it before 90 days? That's what gives room for this litigation and this kind of ruling. I think people have even said that if you say it's continuous voters registration, why even stop it? You know, you can put mechanisms in place where you can continue to register. Only that, look, if you register 90 days before election, you cannot vote in that election, but you can vote in the next one.
You get your card. But stopping registration, that's the thing. You can stop distribution and all of that, but I mean,
but it should be continuous.
They call it continuous for a reason. I don't know. You know, people have
even said that. Why do you have to wait this long to even get your PVC? There can be, you know, I don't know. Again, you know, I think these days, you know, look at the banks, for example. You know, we talked about
within 15 minutes, you get your ATM.
You can get your
debit
ATM
card
out, and you register it there, you get your ATM. So, you know, this thing should be seamless. Even distribution. Why not even look at the idea of delivering where people can pay? For example, I stay in my office, it's delivered to me, and I pay for the delivery. Yes.
Yesterday we had a conversation where somebody said that they are cloning PVCs. Do you think that delivery of PVCs is a secured?
You know, the idea of cloning, me and say, we're hoping that we're going to be able to bring the rec of Lagos to come and talk to us about this cloning thing.
Yes.
How possible?
Is it, if
that, or even maybe first of all, metric. If you clone my PVC for it, you know, I'm the original owner. My face is there. You know, Taki, I really can continue, because again, people don't have a station where people can continuously celebrating 18 years birthday today, obviously. So those people should be able to go register if there's another election, you know, election.
Moving on now, still on the front, new tax regime. So worse in Ikko, and there are some areas that petrol is even being sold between 190
to 50.
Yeah. Well, heading across, and what we have now is IPMAN, that's Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. They are blaming it on the depots and the increasing difficulty in accessing petroleum products. Is it still as regards the difficulty of distribution? Is that the problem? Or
no, the supply. It's even the issue of supply. I don't think we have enough in stock. NNPC keeps saying they have enough, but you know, the private depots are saying that, look, there's not enough in stock. The NNPC depots too, and the arrangements are not working. There seems to be a problem with supply and distribution. You know, again, all of these things, by the time you go into asking too many questions, they just get you confused by the explanations. You know, the fact is that there's a disruption in the supply and distribution process. That's why we're having the queues. The reason for that, honestly, I don't know.
Okay. Well, as it is now, also still on that particular story, let's also put this into perspective. The fact that the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers wrote a letter to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, over harassment, intimidation, and extortion of petroleum tanker drivers by some community youths under the name Indigenous Unity Forum. I don't know who they are.
Everybody just sets up a group to.
But what we have is that the NUPGE, the gas workers are saying that they are deeply constrained to bring this particular issue because of the unwholesome activities of some criminal elements parading themselves along Lekki Free Trade Zone, Eleko Ibeju, Lekki community, yes, that area, and going under the name Indigenous Unity Forum. So their demands another problem that they are facing, and they wrote a letter to the Lagos State government to help do something. Indigenous Unity Forum or something.
Even somehow Indigenous Unity Group.
Indigenous Unity Group. All right, well, let's keep moving now on to Vanguard newspaper. It still trends in the papers on mainland 98 move to reconcile Atiku Wike. So the writer to that, Atiku's meeting with ex-president fruitful. That's coming from a source in the campaign council. Pro-Atiku group chides Jang. G5 governors over stance on IU. So I'm not concerned with a possibility of a reconciliation move by IBB and GJ. That's on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And I don't. Let's not go into the politics of GEJ and the PDP. That's another story for another day. But this particular report now is that a member of the Integrity Group, in confidence, told Vanguard that there are efforts to get Atiku and Wike to reconcile. Okay, and what we have here is, and I'm quoting now, IBB told Atiku and his team to go and reconcile with Wike and his allies. Other party leaders also told Atiku that he caused the problem and he should go and solve it. Okay, so another statement here is that if Atiku should mount pressure on Ayu to resign, he will resign. If this is done, it will also be easy to separate the boys from the men. So we've always been having this conversation why everybody's attention is on Wike and not Ayu. Nobody's saying anything about why is it. I mean, for the sake of the party, for the sake of victory for the party, why not do what is necessary for the party to move on? But we also have in this same report Atiku's meeting with ex-president was successful. Okay, and that is coming from a presidential campaign council source who's confirmed the peace moves that's ongoing between Atiku and Jonathan. Okay, and then we also have pro Atiku group chides Plateau State former governor of Plateau State Jonah Jang. Yes, and the G5 governors over their stance on Ayu. So that's the update on PDP and the many things that is happening inside of it.
You know my comments on that, Sandra?
No, I don't know.
May God help the PDP.
Yeah, that's everybody's prayer actually at this point.
Because everybody's prayer again.
Is there now? So that okay, I should not. Okay, sorry.
I have a sorry. Prayer. God help PDP.
It's all right. It's all right. But God help PDP from up to the down. From
how many days to elections, Sandra?
93.
Yeah. And they are still enmeshed in this,
back and forth.
Sometimes you sit back and you want to ask yourself, is Atiku really serious about winning this election? You don't understand. Is he really serious, or is just I don't know? Is he faffing around with Nigerians thinking make them think he's serious? Because you can't have this heavily divided house. Not an election where there are predictions that there will be a runoff. That's to tell you how keenly contested it will be in 2023. And then you have these divisions, you have this back and forth. You have 5 governors who are, and then you can't prevail on Ayu, for example. Because we keep saying, is Ayu unbeggable? If we can say, okay, again, there's a way you do something, it's okay, this is your demand, okay. For the sake of the party, Mr. Chairman, you are my person, you be my personal person. Let's just do this thing so that at least these guys will calm down. And then they won't have anything to say again. You see that Ayu cannot give the ultimate sacrifice for the party.
There's a whole lot of interesting stories that I do not want us to miss. But PDP, God help PDP, just as you have said, because let's not forget that this is not just a national thing. Even in some state levels, there are also some issues in the PDP. Okay, so more details on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. Moving on, we also have here 20 million out of school children. Another Boko Haram looms, and that's coming from Obasanjo, a former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and that is on page 35.
That's a statement of fact. You have an army of insurgents waiting. You have 20 million out of school children. What are they going to end up to be? They would rather go into the bush to join these gangs, and because again they need to make a living.
Idle hands.
Of course, the devil's workshop. So it's as simple as that. So it's a statement of fact. You have 20 million out of school children.
Okay.
You are bringing another set of Boko Haram bandits, nappers, and all manner of criminal elements.
Okay. More details on page 35. I also have here, Osun poll didn't comply with INEC guidelines. Oyetola's witness tells court. That is on page 10. Before we move from that one, I don't know if you saw the picture of the governor-elect standing in front of the school. I don't know how true that is, but
Sandra, this case is court, so I won't talk too much.
It's okay.
I think people should pay attention to what is happening at the tribunal in Osun State. As regards what to expect next year. Regards the target of the governor-elect.
He presented a picture.
We have people on. Is that about picture? Is that a certificate?
That he presented a picture of himself in the present day in front of the school.
in front of the school.
Yeah, himself in
If they are
present day.
reporting in the paper that even the rec, Osun State is that they don't have the certificate.
Ah.
It was at the court. So as we continue to, I think we should pay attention to what is happening with that case in Osun State, because I have people on ground, and the reports they are giving from what is going on in the tribunal.
Not,
I hope we are not going to get a verdict that will shock people. I'm just saying again, I don't want to preempt anything, but I think people should pay attention.
Let's leave it at that. It's still in court.
All
right, more details on page 10.
The man showed himself in front of us.
Yes, I saw the picture. That was his certificate. He did like this.
No, I didn't say it. I just showed himself. I go.
Is that more details on page 10? Well, moving moving on very quickly. Oil theft. Nigeria lost over $2 billion in 8 months. That's coming from the Senate, and that's on page 36. We also have here Nnamdi Kanu sues Malami, demands 20 billion naira. That, I think we've been talking about that particular story. And that's on page 11 of Vanguard. And finally, from Vanguard, so we can quickly look what's trending on the front page of The Nation. Inflation will continue to raise MPR until I'm interested in until when, until what will happen. Because that I'm just trying to understand why they said they will continue to raise it. And while speaking, said that they will continue to raise the MPR until the inflation rate abates. And that's until the inflation rate, goes down. But reverse is the case. So I don't know if
we're going to the interest rate, inflation keeps going up, and they will continue to raise it
until inflation goes off. Okay. So help us God. Let's finalize things now on the front page of The Nation newspaper. Let's see what is trending there. Major headline: Oil. Buhari warns against Niger Delta mistakes in North. President inaugurates integrated oil business in Gongola.
What exactly are those mistakes? It would have been nice to highlight the mistake that was made in Niger Delta that he's talking about.
What he's saying is he told the NNPCL and other stakeholders to learn from the nation's experience with oil production in the Niger Delta.
What was that experience?
Okay, so he said, among others, environmental degradation.
Okay,
one. That's one. Are you with me? Sorry.
I'm completely.
Okay. It's all right. Communal crisis.
2.
Youth restiveness.
3.
So, okay.
What of corruption? 10.
I did not see it. Maybe if I if I continue reading.
The parents should have added that.
Maybe if I continue reading, I will see it. I will see it somewhere there.
If I should have been the first before this other one.
Okay, so he also mentioned here, I'm seeing somewhere here now, he warned that, this is coming from the Senate president now, not, the president. He's warning that the misappropriation of the funds going to the Niger Delta region should not be allowed to happen to funds expected from the sale of crude products from the facilities. So I think that was also...
It also captures the issue of corruption and misappropriation of funds.
Yes, I think that captures it. All right, but it's a long read, okay? It's a very long read. You can get more details on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. He said they must not allow the circumstances that created unpleasant experiences in the country's oil production activities. All right, so they should follow a path of harmonious relations with local communities.
All right, wait to see.
All right, more details on page 4. Also here we have NYSC names Uba as acting DG. I'm still trying to find out what exactly happened, or what was the incompetent thing that father did that he was sacked as DG of NYSC. But as of now, the NYSC has Uba as the acting DG. And that's on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. Also, moving on now, we also have here APC to launch crowd pooling app, raise funds, party rejigs campaign plan. Fuad.
I'm with you. Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, I thought you wanted to tie this to what we discussed yesterday.
No, crowd pulling app. I don't know. I don't know what a crowd pulling app is really. I don't think there are more details on it. What is a crowd pulling? Is it a campaign platform? Is it a digital campaign platform? What's crowd pulling app? And I don't know.
I'm not in the campaign council.
I know that's what I'm saying. Maybe the report has details. This is the first time I'm hearing a crowd campaign app.
Well, as it is now, they are going to have a fundraising dinner on Sunday, the 27th of November in Lagos, and they will also launch their crowdsourcing app.
The crowd what?
Crowdsourcing, to pull crowd, an app that will source for crowd.
Well, I don't know what that is. I'm not. I don't know. I shouldn't be talking about what I don't know about. So
we should move.
Well, maybe it's a campaign app. The digital world has a whole lot of innovations now. So crowd, maybe something that is able to reach people, talk to them more, get the campaigns.
Isn't that what bulk SMS and all this for? So that
maybe something more sophisticated, more efficient.
Where you have more people, so you can get their details.
I don't know. That's the thing. Sandra, you're asking me a question I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I'm trying to push you to say something.
I shouldn't say what I don't know.
All right, but more details of that on page 4. Let's see what the crowd pulling app is all about. They intend to launch that and also have a fundraising dinner in Lagos. That's on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Also, no excuses for loss to Saudi Arabia, says Messi, and that is on page 30 of the Nation newspaper. Oyo State OK's promotion of 1,629 workers. That is on page 27 of the Nation newspaper. Okay. Why Jonathan can't back Atiku? That's coming from Wiki. PDP candidate humiliated ex-president in 2015. Okay, so yes, on Wiki is saying that former President Goodluck Jonathan is not likely to support Atiku Abubakar, recalling that Abubakar never backed Jonathan for his re-election bid, adding that he mounted pressure on the former president to relinquish the presidential ticket of the party. And he said the former vice president embarrassed and humiliated Jonathan, who as a sitting president and candidate visited him in London to beg him to return to the party to support his second term bid. Okay.
So according to Wiki now, Jonathan is off the table as someone that can
according to Wiki.
So we take Goodluck out of the equation now. So
according to Wiki.
And you don't understand. We said it that Jonathan should have is in the stature of
for reconciliation.
Yes, now, but if a Wiki is saying that even if Jonathan does not have what it takes, and not even
Wiki can't speak for Jonathan. What if Jonathan forgive and forget?
Well, the idea is for Jonathan to not go and beg Wiki.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Fuad. Let's take a break. When we come back on Milan Focus, we'll introduce the focus for this morning. Stay with us. You're listening to Milan 98.3 FM. We just went through the front pages of 4 major dailies, looking through the trending stories. When we come back, you get to be a part of the conversation. So stay with us. You're listening to 98.3 Mainland FM.
Risi, where's your sister?
She's in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, call her